What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. As you brothers may know, I am not the biggest Shannon Sharpe fan out there in the world, but I try to be as fair as possible, okay? I do think that despite his previous mistakes, there are extortion attempts out to ruin the man. And, you know, we have some people out here, let me say certain black women, that when they're talking about the whole Shannon Sharpe situation, it just doesn't make much sense, okay? And one of those women is Eboni K Williams. Eboni K Williams is by trade an attorney. She hasn't practiced in a very, very long time. She's, you know, more or less been in the entertainment industry. She has, according to her, worked with Shannon Sharpe in some capacity, but she's also going to weigh in on the situation with Shannon Sharpe's lawsuit, all right? And she's going to hit him with some heinous allegations.
Right.
But let me be very clear, and this is just Eboni talking, y'all. Don't put this on D. It doesn't get to be one of your kinks. I'm gonna say it one more time.
Put that on me too. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does not get to be one of your kinks. Now, some of you might hear me say that and say, "Well, Auntie E, the girl was 19. She's quote legal." Let me be very clear with you. I understand the law better than most. Got the paperwork to prove it. But what we know about the law is that it is drafted in legislative bodies normally, okay? And therefore it is the product of a consensus. So the fact that she is 19 and the law happens to be of consent in most states, 18 rather, and she is just right over that threshold, I want you to just consider that what if the law of consent, the age of consent was 21? Which kind of based on the factors in which they determine where the cognitive ability to have awareness and permission. I'm sure that was a debate. I'm sure there was probably some people that felt the age of consent should have been 16, some that felt it should have been 18, some that felt it should have been 21. In fact, I'm not speculating. This is, go look at the, what do you call it? The transcripts, okay? And there are other parts of the world where the age of consent is upwards of 18 for that very reason. So to me, 19, that's considered a bubble age. Now, per the letter of the law, you're in the technical clear. But from a kind of overall analysis, when I'm really considering the kind of moral nature of engaging with that level of activity, and again, you're not 25 with a 19-year-old, which a lot of people would still frown at. You're not even 35 with a 19-year-old. Still, I don't like it. You're not 45. You're 56. 55.
Talk about it.
Time. So for me, not the government, this is Eboni K Williams. If a 56-year-old man was laying with my 19-year-old daughter, and then my daughter presented as Gabby presents, we heard that tape, she sounds 13, Dustin. She sounds 13 years old. She so clearly presents as 25,000 a cheek. Where the cheeks? And I'm not suggesting that had she been more developed or had she presented as more physically adult, it would have been any more right. But I'm talking about just the kink piece. No, sir. Your kink doesn't get to be. Now, I'm not ignorant. I'm not naive. Without going into the graphic details, I know there's an entire genre dedicated to the adolescence of it. But I think this is the making, right? I think as adults in society, while we don't need to be skewing to over-policing people's activities, we do need to be accountable and know that when we permit certain things, we put ourselves on slippery slope.
Now, let me just say this. It is obvious that Eboni K Williams has a strong use of the English language. Her vocabulary is there, and she's, you know, bragging on how nobody understands the law like she does, or she understands it more than most. But now she's using her personal bias to call the guy a P-DO. And I just want to say, while it is alarming that Shannon Sharpe is 56 dealing with a 19-year-old. That is weird, okay? I'm 44, and dealing with a 19-year-old is extremely difficult for somebody like myself, let alone 56. That is not what is on trial, okay? It is basically like the equivalent is me saying, well, you know what? What we need to deal with the fact is that this person's a murderer. And you're like, what? Well, did the person commit any murder? Well, they thought about it. They almost did it. So murder should be on trial. And Eboni K Williams is talking about Gabriella Zuniga's, or her ability, what she sounds like, what she looks like. She looks underdeveloped. She sounds underdeveloped. I've talked to women that's 30 years old that you can make the same case that sound or look or behave underdeveloped. We could talk the same thing about men, all right? You have grown adult men who could exhibit the same signs of immaturity or anything else, but the reality is that is your personal opinion of the man, but that is not what is on trial. The case, nobody has brought up anything about somebody dealing with someone underage. That is not on trial. So why are we talking about that? Is it a 37-year-old age difference? Yes. Okay. Is it uncouth to many? Yes. But why are you trying to spin it in the best way you can? You spend 3 minutes doing the best of your ability to use your elaborate vocabulary to paint the man in the picture in which he's not that. He's never been accused of that. And the reason why he hasn't been accused of that is because simply he hasn't done it. Otherwise, he would already be in jail. It would no longer be a civil suit. And this is why when you talk about things, and again, we are all biased to a point, but we can't leverage things on people that we know that's not true. But again, it's that way when you have, I'll tell you this, and this is my kind of theory. I can't prove it. But a lot of these older black women, like Eboni K Williams, okay, many may feel like this, feel that, you are taking advantage, or it's sick. It's something, maybe equivalent to R. Kelly, or you're nasty if you're dealing with women much younger than you. So therefore, it indicates a personal problem. You might be predatory in some regards because you don't know how to deal with real women. And again, I'm just putting that out as a thought process. This definitely is not true for everybody, but that's just kind of how folks feel. And in the case of Eboni K Williams, here she goes again, saying something that doesn't make any sense. And you're an attorney, and it's like, why did you go to law school? And this is one of the reasons why Eboni K Williams, for the most part in the industry, doesn't offer any real value. I mean, if you look at the podcast that she has, her and this other guy, it's 2025. Almost every podcast right now that's decent is a video podcast. Eboni K Williams, despite all of her knowledge and ability to articulate, decides to do an audio podcast. Okay? Again, not offering any true value to the industry. And it's only because she said this that anybody cares, right? And one of the reasons why she doesn't offer a lot of value, because she just says things that are just not credible, okay? And it's stupid. That's what it is. Then I know more than you while explaining how much I don't really know. And it's like, Eboni, at a certain point, I hate to say this, honey, you need to grow up, okay? Respectfully. You cannot like the guy. Hell, I don't like the guy, right? I don't like the guy. I don't at all. I think that is very obvious to those people who know me. But to call the man that which he is not, I think it's beyond reproach. I think that's low, okay? And I honestly feel that you owe the man an apology, okay? When you talk about that definition, that we're talking about people that typically are not even under, we're talking about the term P, right? And that means basically you like people below the age of 13. It is clear that the woman that he met worked at a gym or was at a gym. She's 19. She graduated high school. It doesn't matter if what you think of the person. Eboni K Williams is over 40. I can say that you're just as much as a child, and your mentality as to what you're leveraging against the woman that Shannon Sharpe is caught up in this mess with. You gotta just grow up, honey. At this stage, time is winding down. You need to get it together, right? You're too old to be a joke like this. Seriously. By now, you should have had this thing figured out, and you don't. And you know what? It is deeply sad. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again the episode of The Celebrity Drunk. Here's your follow. You just heard the bell. We're out.